Okay, forget Vegas, forget Macau for just a minute. Let's talk about Kyrgyzstan. Landlocked, Central Asia, next to China, and now, maybe, a new online gambling spot.
It sounds surprising, doesn't it? But yeah, based on what we're looking at, Kyrgyzstan's move to legalize online gambling after a ban makes it a really interesting case study.
Definitely. And we've got some material suggesting, well, both potential and some pretty significant, let's say, challenges if you're looking at getting a license there.
Exactly. So the idea today is to sort of unpack that. Is this a genuine hidden gem, or is it, something you need to be really cautious about?
Right. We'll try to cover the key things. The country itself, the licenses on offer, the rules, the good, the bad, the costs, all of it. So first off, Kyrgyzstan, strategically, what are we talking about?
Well, its location is pretty notable. It's right there in Central Asia, sharing that big border with China, plus Kazakhstan and others. So yeah, geopolitically interesting.
And culturally, for someone maybe looking to do business, what's the vibe? Language.
Official language is Kyrgyz, but crucially for business, Russian is very, very common. In business, in law. It's essential. Predominantly Muslim population. You've got this mix of Soviet history and older nomadic traditions. But the key takeaway, don't expect to get by just with English for everything official. That could be a hurdle.
Okay, good to know. Language barrier potentially. What about the economy? Are they positioned for this kind of venture?
Well, it's classified as a low-income country. GDP around $11 billion last year, low per capita. But there's been consistent growth, maybe 4 or 5% annually recently.
Okay, so not stagnant.
No, not stagnant. And the economy relies a lot on farming, mining, gold is big, and money sent home from workers abroad. What's really relevant here, though, is the government seems keen, really keen, to attract foreign money. And gambling is specifically mentioned as one of those sectors.
Okay. So the gambling push is part of a bigger economic strategy. Makes sense. But online gambling needs infrastructure. What's the internet situation like? Can it actually support this?
Surprisingly, yeah, that's one of the unexpected things. Despite the economic stats, their digital adoption is apparently quite advanced. There's a government push for digital transformation, things like e-government, and reports mention good 4G coverage, especially in cities, and lots of people using messaging apps.
So the groundwork for online services is actually there.
It seems so. It suggests online gambling isn't just a pipe dream. The environment might actually be quite receptive.
Interesting. Okay, strategic spot, wants investment, decent digital base. Let's get into the licenses. What's actually on offer since they restarted gambling in 2022?
Right, so the main law is the Gambling Activities in the Kyrgyz Republic Act. It basically sets up different license types. You've got physical casinos and then separate licenses for online operations.
Physical first, what are the rules there?
Pretty restricted. They have to be in specific gaming zones, usually within hotels. And importantly, locals can't play there. The Financial Supervision Service, Gosfinadzor, oversees those.
Okay, and the online licenses, the ones likely grabbing attention.
Yeah, those cover websites and apps. The requirements mentioned are things like, user ID checks, secure payments, data protection is a big one, and using certified software. An interesting point is servers might be allowed offshore, but you need specific permission for that. The state communications agency, Gosvyaz, handles the online side.
And there are other types too, betting, slots.
Yes, exactly. Sports betting, horse race betting, slot machine halls. They all need their own separate license. Oh, and lotteries. But right now, apparently, only the state runs those.
Yeah.
So it's quite segmented.
Got it. Different license for each activity.
Yeah.
You mentioned the regulators, Gosfinadzor and Gosvyaz. Can you break down what each one actually does?
Sure. Gosfinadzor, the Financial Supervision Service, is the boss for land-based casinos. They issue the licenses, check compliance, keep records, and they can pull the plug, suspend, or revoke licenses if rules are broken.
And Gosvyaz for online.
Right. State Communications Agency. They're focused on the technical side of online platforms, checking specs, data security, transaction safety, making sure the software is certified, basically ensuring compliance with the online regulations and the gambling laws. The material suggests maybe online regulation is a bit lighter touch right now compared to physical, but the expectation is it'll get stricter over time.
Okay, makes sense for a new market. So that's the setup. Now, let's flip the coin. Why would a company actually jump through these hoops? What are the upsides?
Well, there are a few potential plus points. First, the licenses last 10 years with renewal options. That's pretty good long-term security.
10 years is decent, yeah.
And the costs, while significant, as we'll see, seem lower overall compared to, say, Malta or the Isle of Man, another big one. Foreign ownership rules are quite relaxed. Up to 90% foreign owned is allowed. You just need that 10% local partner. Shows they want that investment.
Okay, 90% is pretty welcoming.
And maybe the biggest draw, it's an early stage market. Very few operators are actually up and running yet, especially online. It feels a bit like a blue ocean opportunity for those who get in early.
A first mover advantage, potentially.
Potentially, yeah. Plus, as we said, the good internet situation makes the online potential seem real.
Those do sound like solid reasons to at least look into it. But there's always a but, isn't there? What are the downsides? The potential headaches?
Yeah, there are definitely some significant ones highlighted. A major one seems to be recruitment. There's a rule. At least 50% of your staff must be Kyrgyz citizens, and they have to be 23 or older.
50% local? Okay, that could be tough.
It could, especially because management positions have high standards too, like 5+ years experience, higher education, clean record. The challenge is finding locals with specific online gambling experience. Operations, risk, platform management. That expertise might be scarce.
Right. You might struggle to fill those specialist roles.
Exactly. Finding qualified tech people, compliance officers, payment specialists for online operations locally could be hard. You might end up needing to outsource or relocate people, which adds cost and complexity.
So the human resources side looks like a major potential pain point. What else?
Technical compliance is another area. All systems, software, equipment used after 2016 have to be certified. No unauthorized changes allowed. And they apparently review your whole system before you launch. That limits your flexibility a bit,
Pre-launch review.
Yeah.
Okay. And for physical casinos, any specific hurdles there?
Yeah, the location rules we mentioned. Only in those designated gaming zones inside hotels. And hotels have to meet minimum standards, room numbers, restaurants, etc. Plus, the application needs detailed architectural plans, land documents. It's complex.
Okay, lots of red tape, especially for physical. Let's talk money, the costs. What are we looking at for license fees and taxes?
The fees, well, they're not small. For an online casino license, or a physical one in a major city, it could be up to $1.1 million US.
Wow, okay. That's a serious investment up front.
It is. Physical casinos in regional areas are a bit less, maybe starting around $500,000. Slot operators, also around $500,000. Sports betting is cheaper, roughly $126,000. And interestingly, the source says only a handful of licenses have actually been issued so far, like 5 online, 3 physical casinos. Very few.
Very early days then. What about ongoing taxes?
For online, it's 4% of gross gambling revenue GGR. That's fairly competitive, actually.
4% GGR, okay. And physical?
Physical is different. It's a fixed tax per gaming table, about $6,850 a year, and per slot machine, maybe $170 a year. Betting shops also pay a fixed annual fee per shop. Plus, if you're in one of those special gaming zones, there are other fees and taxes, construction fees, operating fees, VAT on some things, Social Security. It adds up.
Right, so a mix of GGR for online and fixed fees for physical, plus other zone-specific costs.
Got it.
So last piece, the application process itself, how does it work?
First step, you need a local company. Register a legal entity in Kyrgyzstan. That's where the 90% foreign, 10% local ownership structure comes in.
Need that local shareholder from day one.
Yep. Then document gathering. And it sounds like a lot of documents. Registration papers, legal docs notarized, proof you own the software, tax records, bank details, list of employees, equipment contracts. If it's physical, the architectural plans too. It's extensive.
Sounds like a paperwork marathon.
Pretty much. Then you have to pay those big license fees up front. After all that, you submit the application to the right regulator, Gosfinanzor or Gosfias.
And how long does it take?
The material says processing starts at 1 month, but realistically, you should probably expect it could take longer.
Okay, so it's a proper process, local setup, tons of documents, big fees, then wait. Bringing it all together then. Kyrgyzstan's definitely making a move, especially online. Looks like a potentially lower cost entry point, maybe high potential if you're early.
Exactly, it has that appeal. But balanced against real challenges. The staffing issue seems critical. Navigating regulations that are still developing is another risk. You need good compliance, good risk management.
So who is this potentially right for, based on what we've discussed?
I'd say likely companies that already know the gambling business, especially online. Those with strong tech back ends. Maybe companies specifically looking for a foothold in Central Asia at a lower initial cost than, say, Europe. Or perhaps operators building a portfolio of licenses across different regions for international reach. It looks potentially rewarding, but it's definitely not a guaranteed win. Requires serious due diligence.
Absolutely. So for everyone listening, When you weigh up that potential reward against those very clear risks we've talked about, the staffing, the evolving rules, the costs, does Kyrgyzstan seem like a calculated gamble that your business should explore further?
Yeah, it's a question only you can answer based on your own strategy and risk appetite.
Definitely something to mull over. Thanks for diving deep with us into this rather unexpected corner of the gambling world.